Annabelle had a couple questions that she thought would be good for newer agents to hear.
I guess one of the first things I would say is take it back to when you got your license. What do you think if you knew then what you know now, how would that help?
Yeah, so 3.5 years ago, I got my license as a new agent in Florida. Okay, guys, I'm in Florida. I'm in the South Florida area, like the Boca Raton region. I actually cover Miami up to Port St. Lucie, so that's a big thing too. I don't think I covered a large enough area in the very beginning. I was more localized to Boca. So once I started expanding my area, I started doing a lot more deals. So I think that was a massive help. Was actually covering a larger area. So a lot of people say farm, 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 you want to just stick to one area. And that's okay. If you're doing that niche where you're just farming a particular area, that's fine. So it's really depending on, what niche you're focusing on. Because in the very beginning, I was fortunate. Okay. A lot of agents try a lot of new things. Like I was just at an event this weekend that we held, and my girlfriend's sister is an agent in Iowa. And I asked her, I said, are you happy with how much money you're making? She's not even with EXP, which is crazy to me. I've been trying to convince her, but I asked her, are you happy with how much money you're making? She said, no, I'm not. I'm only going to make like $70,000 this year. So I said, well, what are you doing? And she listed off like 5 to 10 different lead gen activities that she was doing on a weekly basis. And I said, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing all of these? And she's like, oh, well, I just do a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. And I'm like, well, is that a surprise why you're not making that much money? Because she's scattered all over the place. And a lot of agents are probably scattered. They're not focusing on one particular niche. And that's a big issue, because if you don't focus on one particular niche, then you cannot master it and you can't become the expert in it. Listen, like Annabelle, if I ask you, who is the expert at for sale by owner? Well, whose name comes to your mind?
I start thinking about a few different people that work on for sale by owners.
Expireds for sale by owners. I have a person that comes to my mind immediately. Do you have one?
Yeah. Within our office, we have a couple of people, and they just boom, that they nail it out of the park.
What's the name? If I said Ricky Carruth.
I'm sorry?
Ricky Carruth.
Okay.
He is the expert in for sale by owner, right? He does more deals than anybody in for sale by owner, right? So he became the expert in that one niche, and now everybody knows him. I mean, Annabelle probably just forgot his name for a second, but yeah, he's the expert in for sale by owner, right? So that's how you want to position yourself. Like, as an example, me personally, I'm the expert at doing rentals. So when people think about rentals, they think about me. So that's what you want to do. You want to niche down and you want to become the expert in one particular field. That's probably the second most important thing that I want to say for newer agents is picking a niche. That's one of the things that separates the top agents from agents that are just doing mid-level $50,000, $80,000 a year. You don't even necessarily have to work longer and harder, but that is my third thing, would be working longer and harder. So listen, in my first year of doing real estate, I probably put in about 5-6 hours a day, right? And I was doing decent. I still did about 50 deals. They're rental deals, maybe a few, 5 house sales or so. Didn't do much though. It really wasn't that much compared to what I could have been doing. So my second year, I realized that. I said, you know what? I'm not working enough right now. So what happens if I actually start working a lot harder and longer? And that leads me to my big thing, was getting back to all my leads. Okay. Like constantly doing lead gen, because what I was doing was I was focusing on the deals that I was working on then and there. And I stopped doing lead gen. And that's actually what happened to my girlfriend's sister too. She told me, she said, I focus on all my deals. I do them, and she's also scattered around as well. And then I pick up lead gen after my deals start closing. I said, why do you do that? She says, oh, well, I just want to spend time focusing on my deals, which is fine. But if you're not doing lead gen constantly every single day, how are you supposed to grow? You're not. And she's a prime example of that. She's not growing. She's been doing real estate 5 years. She did not grow. And that's why, in my first year, I honestly don't know what would have happened if I didn't stop doing lead gen, because, I did. So I don't think I would have grown nearly as fast. And I could even tell too, at the end of the year, when I was stopping lead gen, I wasn't getting as many deals as I wanted. So the very next year, I started responding to all of my leads every single day. That is so important. Never stop lead gen. I think that's probably, if I would have to go back and say, that's probably my number one important thing, a tip to new agents: never stop doing lead gen. I don't care how many deals you were working on. Listen, if you have a family, if you have kids and stuff like that, you can only work a certain amount of hours. Okay, I understand. But if you have the time, you cannot stop doing lead gen. That's number one importance right there. Never stop doing lead gen, and then focus on one niche. You're gonna want to pick. Let's say there's like in my mind, there's 10 different lead generation methods. Okay, one will do. Let's just say my rental strategy. Right. Two is going to be open houses. Three, for sale by owner. Four, expires. Five, door knocking. Six, mailers, doing like farming specific areas, sending out mailers to those areas, right? I'm drawing a blank on some of the other ones right now, but those are like the big few lead gen strategies that you can start trying right now, and then you maybe do it for like 3 months or so and see if you actually like it, see how it's producing for you. And listen, if you find one that you really love and enjoy, just stick with that and run with it, because you're going to be doing this for hours every single day. So yeah, I would say that is my top three biggest tips for newer agents and things I should have started in my first year that I think would have excelled me a little bit faster. So okay, next question. Maybe I'll take another question first, and Annabelle, I'll circle back to you later. Eric, I see you have a question. Yes, go ahead, please.
So I want to get into your rentals, your rental deal strategies.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead. Yes.
Me and you we spoke before, I guess maybe 8 or 9 months ago, and he told me everything comes from all my rental deals essentially are coming from Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace.
Not
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. I'm just saying from I'm sure you get rental listings too, but I'm just saying from a tenant standpoint. I have not
Yes.
had that level of success on Marketplace. So I guess my first, I'm going to ask multiple questions.
Go ahead.
One,
Yes.
what types of ads do you run on Marketplace? Two, once you get that response to them, the problem that I'm having is so many people are just not qualified right now.
Mm. I
So
have all right.
that,
Well, let's start there
yeah,
with the qualifications, right?
okay.
So all right. Well, first of all, your
Do you have
first
a
question
script to
is yes.
qualify was the question.
Yes, I do. 100% have a script. So, all right. So first things first. Yes, I do a lot of the Facebook. I mean, obviously the listings come from the I'm looking at the camera. The listings come from the MLS. That's where they start. That's where I get them from. The Any Broker advertise. Listen, we're in Florida, obviously, so we have that luxury. If you're not in Florida, you don't. You don't have a built-in permission in your MLS. That's okay. You could still ask for permission from the listing agents, or do my apartment locator strategy, where you're just doing apartments, which I can talk about a little bit later, which is the easiest money any agent will ever make. It's basically like a free $1,500 per deal, and it only takes like an hour or two, but I can go on that a little bit later. Yeah, you really want to focus on taking those prime listings. So it's about the amount of leads that you have coming in. So if you're not having, because we're basically in the same area. So if I could do it, why can't you? That means you're doing something wrong, right? There's nothing special about me. It means you're not doing something, that will get you enough leads coming in. Because listen, all of those leads are not going to convert. Let's say you get 100 leads. Oh, actually, question: how many leads are you getting per day?
I mean, I'd say right now I'd say maybe 10, maybe.
That's an issue. So you want at least 100 leads from Facebook Marketplace coming in per day. So that goes with how many listings that you have posted. That's my second question. How many do you have posted?
Right now, like 20.
That's an issue. So yeah, you want
Okay.
bare minimum 50, bare minimum. So like I'm just gonna throw it out there really quick. I do one-on-one coaching, and I break everything down, all of this stuff. I have literally like a 30-page in-depth SOP where I teach exactly step by step what to do, when to do it, how to do it, scripts, all of that. 30 pages long. So maybe see me afterwards, because obviously, in an hour, I can't,
Okay.
too many questions, but maybe see me afterwards, because I can literally transform your business into making 50,000 plus per month. I just had $135,000 month, $135,000 net profit after 3.5 years in real estate, all off of rentals. Okay. Just 1 month. So and my average is 50K. So I could easily get you up to 50K a month easily, because you're in my area. So you just repeat my process. So see me afterwards for that. But yeah, I'll answer your second question really fast. Scripting. Yes, I do have exact words. Like listen, if you're saying the wrong words to people, if you're overcomplicating things, you're not going to get responses. And for the qualifications, I want to ask you, why do you think they're not qualified?
Well, 3 times the rent, and I feel terrible asking, but some of these people don't have socials, so I don't really have much I can do with them. because you have to check the credit and background. So
Do
that
you
kind of
though?
rule. What's that?
Do you though? So I actually I get people from Canada, from different countries accepted all the time. I get felonies accepted. I get evictions accepted. I get I've gotten a 450 credit score accepted before. Okay, under 3 times the rent income, no problem at all. I literally get anybody and everybody accepted. So that was one of my first issues I did not do in my first year. I was picky with who I worked with. I would not work with just anybody, right? I would, if you didn't have 650 credit, if you didn't have 3 times the right income, if you didn't have a clean background, forget it. I wasn't going to work with you, right? But I changed that approach in my second year, and all of a sudden the deer started flooding in. Yes, you will be spending a little bit more time. I want to ask though, why did you think it? So why did you not want to work with the people that are not qualified?
It's not that, well, it's not that I wouldn't work with somebody that doesn't fall into it just seems, I don't know. It just seems like I'm getting, it just seems like it's kind of hard to get people accepted right now. And if they don't fall into this small particular box, then, it just feels like you're running around trying to get people accepted that you can't get it, that I haven't been successful getting accepted.
All
So
right, so that's your second question then is how do you get unqualified people accepted? Listen, 40% of the population have under 650 credit score. So by you, as an example, not working with people that have under 650 credit, you're literally excluding 40% of your business. And then, another 20, 30% might have felonies or evictions or background issues. Another 10, 20% might have under 3 times right income. Right then and there, you're cutting out 80% of your business just by working with the people that have perfect credit, perfect income, perfect background, right? So you're limiting yourself, literally, you're only taking 20% of your leads that you're even going to consider working with now, and you're cutting out the other 80%. Once I changed that and I started working with everybody, I exploded. Now, listen, I will say this. Yes, it is harder to get them accepted. We have to figure out the tricks. Like, all right, I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody has under 650 credit. They have, 550 credit, right? Let's make it a hard one too. And they're making under 3 times the right income. Well, what are the things you can do to get them accepted? Because yes, you can say, I'm not going to work with you, but then again, you're cutting out 80% of your business just right then and there. So what I would do is I would say, all right, can you afford doing an extra month up front? If they can't do that, that sucks. I would say about 50% of them, they can find the funds to do first, last, double security. You start throwing around first, last, double security to a landlord, and that's going to help tremendously, right? Also, you got to tell them, you got to be realistic with them. Listen, guys, you're not qualified to get the best apartment. Why? You tell them this. You literally tell them this in a nice tone, obviously, but you tell them you're not qualified to get the places that you want right now. Unfortunately, that's just the hard truth. You can sit here spinning your wheels for the next 3 months trying to get all the properties that, the good credit people are going to be scooping up and getting before you, or you could lower your expectations. Listen, it's not ideal. You're going to work on your stuff. You're going to work on your credit. You're going to work on your income over the next year or two, and you're going to build up to being able to either afford or qualify for a better place. That's what life's about. You know what I mean? You have to tell them that. You literally have to just be brutally honest with them and say, lower your expectations. And that works a lot of times. They get picky. They get really picky, and then, they get frustrated after a month or two because they're not getting what they want, right? So lower their expectations from the very beginning. Don't put them down or anything like that. Don't make them feel bad, but bring them a dose of reality, okay? And then obviously you can do things like offering more rent per month. If there's a place that they really, really want and they're not qualified for it, listen, a lot of HOAs don't care. If they don't have a credit requirement for an HOA, they don't care how much money you're making. Felonies, obviously, not good. If they have a felony, HOAs aren't going to accept that. But an eviction, HOAs don't care about that. So if let's just say they have low credit, low income, and felonies are fine, they could qualify for the HOA. So all your job now is convincing the owner of the property, the listing agent, the owner of the property, hey, accept my client. So what are we going to do then? Offer a little bit more per month, right? Maybe they have bad credit, but their income's good, right? You're going to run into that a lot, okay? And maybe that happens. So you just tell the listing agent, listen, we'll give you an extra $200 per month. They really want this property. We'll give you $200 per month. A lot of these owners will see those dollar signs and they'll say, you know what? We're going to take the person with the low credit, maybe they had some kind of eviction or some kind of past. And they're going to say, we're going to take them anyways, because now we're going to be making an extra $2,400 a year, $200 a month, it's times 12. They're going to make a lot of extra money from that person. person. They're going to take a chance. A lot of these owners, once they see those dollar signs, they're going to take a chance. So get creative and just offer a little bit more money up front, either for the rent price or for the extra months of rent up front, like, double security, first, last, second to last, one security. Some people pay 6 months in advance, a year in advance. I mean, you just get creative like that. And trust me, you will start getting so many more people that you thought previously would not get qualified. But your job is explaining it to them. You have to really break it down to them and explain it. So did that answer your question?
It did. I mean, I have other questions, but I don't want to take up everybody else's.
Well, let's circle back to you. We'll circle back to you. So, okay. I got to add a couple people to the stage really quickly. Okay, there we go. All right, just added a few more people to the stage. John Smith, your device is not connected. Once it is, I'll add you. All right, next up, whoever has the next question, just fire away. We have a question in the chat. I'm in Ontario, Canada, so things may be different here than in your market. But do you have any tips to help renters who have lower credit scores but great income? So that's kind of actually what I was just talking about, Heather, before, about the lower credit but great income. That's actually exactly what I just said before. So for that particular situation, yes, that's what I would do. I would basically offer a little bit more, because listen, they have great income. They're making a lot of money. So yes, offer a little bit more up front, right? First, last, double security, first, last, second to last, double security. That's 5 months up front. Do things like that. You know what I mean? And then you could also do a combination. You could also offer a little bit more on top of the rent price too. You could offer them, maybe, let's say the price of rent was $3,000. Maybe offer them $3,200, $3,300, $3,100, depending on the property, right? Because they have the money to spend. So if they want that property and the owner's not going to accept them because of credit, they're going to go to somebody else, then offer more money. Just throw more money at them. All right, awesome. So yeah, I think that answered that question. Oh,
can you hear me?
Got another question? Yes, I can hear you.
That worked with me. Remember, I paid that whole year up front because you spoke to the landlord, Giovanni.
I do. Giovanni, hey, what's going on, man? Yes, I do
doing?
remember that. Hey, yes, I do remember that. That's 100% true. So for Giovanni, I explain your situation. What happened?
She, I guess because of her situation, remember that she had, stopped working and all that. And we had offered a little bit more rent per month, which was like, I think 200 extra. And we also offered to pay a whole year's up front. And like this, they accepted because they were hesitant in the beginning of just accepting the monthly rent. And because there was other offers and you hit them with we'll do 32 a month and the whole year up front. The next day they said, okay, if not the same
we did.
day.
So that yeah, exactly. So like he wanted a property and there was no way he was getting qualified for that property. So, Giovanni, he happened to have extra cash, laying around. Listen, at the end of the day, you could also explain to him too. Like if you have extra cash saved up, you don't need the money. Let's say you have your, reserves, because everybody should have 6 months at least of reserves in their bank. But if they have extra money on top of that, you could tell them, listen, guys, you're going to have to pay this rent no matter what. You have 12 months and you're going to be paying $3,000 a month. That's what, 36,000 or something like that, for the whole entire year. They have to pay that regardless. So if they're in a bad situation, but they do have the cash, just explain it to them like you're going to pay it regardless anyway. So why not just pay it up front? You can get the exact place you want. Then you don't even have to worry about paying rent for the next 12 months, right? So that worked for Giovanni.
Use that money to put it right back to your bank account.
Yeah, listen, it sucks. You can't invest that money. Obviously, there's downfalls to certain things, but at the end of the day, you got, for the tenants out there, you could explain to them, you got yourself in this situation, whatever it is, the bad credit, the bad income, the background issues, whatever it is, you put yourself in this situation. So things might not be ideal. So you have to pivot and adapt. But as an agent, that's your job, is explaining it to them. So Giovanni, thank you for bringing that up, because that was a live example. He used to, he was one of my clients, obviously, and I helped him get a rental before, and we used that strategy, and it worked, and it literally got him the place he wanted. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for asking that. So I got another question here for Avril. Avril asked, do you get any assistance with your Facebook marketplace input and responses to leads? Do you get any assistance? Avril, do you mean do I have a VA that helps me answer those leads? Is that what you mean, Avril? I don't know if that's what you mean or not. And you could come and join the main chat if you want, Avril. But I think that's what you mean. If I have any assistance with my Facebook Marketplace and input and response to leads. So no, I don't currently have anybody. Yeah, VA staff. Yeah, okay. So no, I don't currently have anybody answering my leads in particular for me right now. I'm actually working on an AI system with CRM with an AI system. I'm partnering up. I don't know if you guys know Juan Carlos, but I'm partnering up with him. Call me later. I'm going to drop my phone number in the chat really quick. So if anybody wants to chat with me about this later, I am actually kind of developing a AI system to do this exact thing where it's not even going to be, because, you know, like Avril just said, a lot of times you're going to get a lot of leads coming in, a lot of messages and everything. And yeah, you got to respond to all of them. And if you're getting 100 messages per day, doing it yourself, that can be taxing. You know, it could take up a lot of time. So I'm developing a system right now to literally respond to them with AI, where it's going to look like you know what I mean? To kind of like pre-qualify them a little bit first. And by that, I mean, just making sure they work with you. Because like I said, I work with everybody. So yes, I am working on that right now. I do have a VA. I'll give you guys a tip and a trick really quickly. This is invaluable, actually. So yes, I do have a VA right now that does my lead gen for me. I taught him how to post all the listings for me and everything. So that's all he's doing now, is just maintaining those listings, making sure everything is on track with the listings themselves. Okay. But he's not responding to leads for me right now. So you can get a VA to do certain things for you. You know, just be careful with how much responsibility you give them, depending on how good they are, because that's very important. Talking to people, getting the leads, that's extremely important. If you're not a good salesperson, you know, because you're selling yourself at that point. Obviously, if you're not a good salesperson, or you don't have a VA that's a good salesperson, you're not going to convert those leads. So yes, I would say be careful with that. Reach out to me afterwards, because I am setting up a artificial intelligence system to actually do that with my scripts that I say to everybody. So yeah, that would be very, very, very helpful. Leone, what if really quick, and yes, you can hire staff to help you with anything you want as long as they're trained. And I do that now. What if the renter doesn't have much income to pay an extra 2 months? Okay, so Leone was basically asking, you know, if somebody has low credit, if they have low income, then what? Then what do you do? Well, cosigner. Okay. At that point, that's basically their only option, is getting a cosigner. And if somebody doesn't have a cosigner, then typically they're going to have to settle for a shitty property that nobody wants. And that's just the harsh reality of it. And like I said, you have to tell them that. Don't tell them that exactly. Don't be like, listen, guys, you got to settle for a shithole, you know, I can't talk about areas, but you know what I mean? Don't tell them that, obviously, but break it down to them really gently and tell them, listen, if you cannot get a cosigner, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your best friend, whoever the hell it is, your grandma. I've had grandparents co-sign for people before, you know, and you give them these suggestions. You want to give them suggestions on who to get as a cosigner. Then that'll work a lot of the times to help offset the lower credit, especially the lower income, because at the end of the day, it's 3 times the rent combined. You could even do this for, I'll give you an example too. So for a purchase, okay, so I do a lot of purchases as well. I did 10 purchases this year, which is nothing crazy, and maybe 300 and something rentals this year. So I do purchases as well. For the purchases, I had somebody get 3 co-signers on top of him and his wife. Not even exaggerating. It was this Jamaican fella, and he ended up needing 3 co-signers on top of him and his wife for the mortgage, for the loan. I didn't even know that was even possible. I'd never even seen that before. But my lender, you know, Lexi, I don't know if she's on here now, but my lender, Lexi, ended up getting creative, and she got them to sign for the loan as well, for the mortgage, and it worked. We ended up closing the deal. We like pivoted midway through. So not even just for rentals, you know, for purchases as well. If somebody doesn't have the funds, you can get a cosigner, and they can cosign on the loan for you, which imagine that 5 people on the loan. It's possible. So same thing for rentals too. You can get co-signers, and you just have to explain it to them and get creative. Oh, guys, a lot of this is going to be problem solving. Okay. You see what I'm doing here? I'm just problem solving. I didn't recreate anything. I didn't invent a new strategy. You know what I mean? Like doing rentals and offering extra months of rent up front and getting co-signers. Like, that's been around forever. I'm just offering these solutions to people. So I'm just thinking in my head, if a problem comes up, what is going to fix and solve that problem? Okay. It could be you could literally ask me any kind of situation and problem, and I'm going to have an answer for you because I'm going to get creative and think outside the box. All you want to do as a real estate agent is solve people's problems, right? They need a home, so you solve their problem of getting in a home. Imagine the appraisal comes in $30,000 under asking price. What do? You solve the problem. You go to the seller and say, hey, seller, it just came in 30,000 under. Let's split the difference, 15,000 each, and then go from there. You know what I mean? Like, there's things you can do.
My thought is, like, obviously we're getting all these leads coming in. And like, for example, I just had a client, I was showing them property on last Tuesday, but they're not going to probably rent anything until the end of November. So my question is like, obviously, we can set up like a weekly email op. There's pretty much trainings out there for weekly emails for buyers and sellers. But my question is, do you have one for renters, and like maybe what some of those things are? Like maybe like in a week, one thing, it could be like a drip email campaign, for example. And then 1 week it's just like, hey, are you still thinking about renting? Something like that, just to keep you top of mind, so they don't go off to another Facebook marketplace, buyer or whatever, So I'm just curious what your thoughts on that.
So this is for a lead that reached out to you, right? And
or you've already
have
showed
you set
them
them.
the property.
Okay. So if you've already showed them a property and you don't want them to go to another agent, like what do you do? Yes, you can set them up obviously, listen, you're going to be setting them up directly on your MLS, where you're going to be setting up a subscription. So all the brand new properties are going to be constantly sent to their email. So I actually don't recommend sending them any extra emails because they're going to see your email, your face, your name every single day because you're making sure it's ASAP, right? When you set them up on the MLS subscription, it's ASAP. Like you literally have to put ASAP on there. So they're going to be getting constant emails from you. I've had people tell me, stop the emails. It's too much, so I wouldn't do anything separate in terms of emails whatsoever because it's good. You're going to flood them with too many emails. You obviously will have to set them up in your CRM to do. I do a weekly email to everybody in my CRM, not in particular to like particular people that are renting right now because they're getting my, daily emails. I just do a weekly email for everybody in my CRM because that's one of my pillars. Obviously, you have 3 pillars in your business. Of course, your one niche that you're focusing on, your database, your CRM, which is just mandatory. You have to do that. And then your networking. So yes, I always do that. But no, what I do is I'll follow up with them, okay, through text message or phone call. That's what I'll do is I'll literally just send them a follow-up text message or a phone call. Listen, if you have time, do a phone call because everything that you do either in person or on the phone, that's going to get you a better conversion rate. Okay. Text messaging is like your last option if you don't have the time to do a phone call. So what I'll do is I'll literally do a follow-up every 24 hours. Okay. Every 24 hours, I go through my phone and I go through every previous text message that has not responded to me yet. Okay. And I just follow up with them. Like your example, if it's a lead that you just showed them a property, I would like say their name and I would say, I would know in my head instantly. I don't like write this down. I don't have like a sheet that I write this down. I literally just go through the text and I just tell them like, hey guys, or hey person, did you like the property I just showed you yesterday? Did you want to see any other properties? Are there any properties that you like that you want to go and see again? Is there anything I could change in the search for you? Get creative, you know what I mean? But follow up with everybody. And they like that too, because that means you care, And if they don't respond to that one follow-up, you can send them another one in like 3 or 4 days, maybe a week later, but you don't want to pester them, okay? Because listen, at the end of the day, if they find another property with another realtor, maybe they found another realtor they like better, So you don't want to be that guy that gets a bad reputation now because you're blowing people up and you're spamming them. So you kind of just at the end of the day have to cut your losses and move on and stop spending that much time on a person that doesn't need or want your help. So 1 or 2 follow-ups by text message or phone call is fine. But after that, get the hint and take a hike. You know what I mean? And go work on other people. Don't devote time to people who don't want your time, that don't need your help. Okay. Can this apply to Section 8 renters? Leonie asked me. Oh, for co-signing. Like the actual Section 8 program has to approve the property. So they have to go and do like an inspection at the property. It's a massive packet that you have to fill out. So yes, I've had a lot of co-signers with Section 8, where the owner will, because I've done Section 8 deals before. Don't get me wrong. I've done them, in the past. It's just my conversion rate is just abysmal. So it's just, I'm spending too much time on this and it's not worth it in my opinion. But yeah, you could have a co-signer for Section 8, it just gets a little bit tricky with the paperwork when, the county or whatever has to actually fill out the paperwork. It gets a little bit tricky and messy there with the co-signer because then they're on the lease agreement and stuff. So it adds a little bit of a extra struggle. But yes, 100% you can get a co-signer for Section 8 and it does work. It does work. It does help. All right. So do you coach for the Canadian markets? I can't even pronounce. I don't want to butcher your name right now. But yes, I do coach for the Canadian market. I've done a couple coaching calls for the Canadian market. Listen, so for rentals, if you get half a month's rent commission, 30% month's rent commission, whatever it is. Listen, in my mind, anything over $500 is perfect. That's it. That's all you really need for a rental is about $500. And when I say that too, you can add, and what I do, I don't know if I mentioned this before, I do a $300 transaction fee. Guys, this is so powerful. So for your business, if you're doing a sale, I'm sure everybody charges a transaction fee, $3.99, $4.99, $5.99, whatever it is, right? And then obviously, it's to help offset our cost for a transaction coordinator if you use one. I don't even use a transaction coordinator. I think they're a waste personally. But anyways, what I do though is I'll charge a $300 transaction fee to every single renter that I work with. Okay, so if I'm doing, let's say, 30 deals for the month, what's 200 times 30? That's $6,000, right? $6,000 that you're making extra per month by charging a transaction fee. So that's what, $72,000 for the entire year just by writing $300 down on a piece of paper. Okay. So if you're in Canada or whatever country you're in, if you get paid for a rental, anything over $500, that's enough because listen, at the end of the day, you're only spending about 2 to 4 hours of your time per rental deal. So if you can make $500 for 2 to 4 hours of your time, I personally think that's worth it. In my first year of doing real estate, my average, I think, was like $650 of commission. That's all my average was. It eventually scaled up to $2,000 because I learned and I grew and everything. But I still made 80 grand by having a $650 average in my first year of doing real estate. So you don't need to make that much money. You're not going to get filthy rich, if you don't get the $2,000 per deal. You will get rich if you make it $2,000 per deal, but you could still 100% do it. Actually, question then, how much do you get in your Canadian market? Because I know it's going to be different in different, areas, maybe Toronto, Vancouver, whatever it is. How much do you actually get? I don't know if you can still hear me right now, but how much do you get, per rental deal? What's your average commission? And while she's responding to me there, did somebody else have another question I thought that I might have missed before? I don't think so. So, all right. So is there any other, I know a lot of people had other questions while she is answering that. So maybe Annabelle, I know you had a couple other questions. Oh, Heather, thank you so much. So, wow. So Heather just said in Toronto, they get half a month's rent for commission typically. That's the exact same thing I get here in Florida, where I made $500,000 last year. I'm going to make 750 this year. Okay. 750K after 3 years. I'm completing my fourth year, $750,000 after 3 years in the business doing rentals. So Heather, you can get the same thing. Vancouver is half. Yeah. So look at that. So Toronto, half a month's rent. Vancouver, half a month's rent. So 100%, guys, reach out to me then. I can literally make you 50 grand a month. 50 grand a month just by working with renters because you're getting the exact same thing I'm getting. And honestly, you could probably do a little bit better than me because I was mainly focusing on Palm Beach County. I wasn't even doing like the Miami. I was doing a little bit of Fort Lauderdale, but you guys are in massive cities. Your population is probably enormous in those. I don't know what your population is, but it's probably massive. And that's also a benefit too. If you're in a bigger population area, you have more eyeballs, right? So if you're doing, let's say if you have 50 or 100 listings up, right? And you have 1 million people, in your area that is actually, wanting to rent, you're going to get a lot more leads coming in than a place that maybe only has like 100,000 or 50,000 people. So yes, 100% you can get, and your rents are high. Your rents are high too. Wow. So yeah, guys, if your average rent is like $3,000, that's $1,500, because that's what it is here in the Boca area. It's about $3,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and you can get $1,500 commission plus the $300 transaction fee. I charge $1,800, right? My average ends up being a little bit higher, obviously, because I do some 4,000s, 5,000s, I do some 20,000s, and I do some big deals and stuff like that. But 2-bedroom, look at that. 2 bedrooms is $2,000. That's pretty damn good. That's not bad. That's $1,000 plus your $300 transaction fee. You're going to charge them. That's $1,300 for a 2-bedroom. Then you go on to 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms, because you're going to be mixing that with other, echelons of properties as well. You're going to get some 4 or 5K, 6K deals where you're making, $3,000, $4,000 a pop, which is going to bring that average up. You got to remember that too, right? So yes, 100%. Reach out to me afterwards. I think I dropped my phone number in the chat. I'm going to do it again just in case. Reach out to me afterwards. I can transform your business. All right, Annabelle, I wanted to get to your questions next because I know I was going to circle back to you. You had a couple other questions for newer agents. For some reason, I can't hear you right now. Let me find out why. Oh, that's why you were not on the stage. Annabelle, sorry, could you ask that one more time?
Okay, no worries. So you mentioned lead generation. So aside of marketplace, are there any other places that you lead gen? And do you have a certain time frame that you do your lead generation? I mean, what would walk someone through the process of how you would lead gen, what your routine is, or a tactic, something that someone could say, oh, wow, so that's how you do it.
Yeah. So honestly, a lot of that is going to be the one-on-one coaching I do because it's literally we're sitting there for an hour and a half, and I have all my scripts, dialogues, and everything, my PowerPoint, and all that stuff. So a lot of that is going to be really, really in depth where I cannot answer it in 5 or 10 minutes. That takes a little bit more time, but I can give a couple little tidbits really fast. So. For one, it's all about the properties that you're posting, right? You want the most desirable properties. And again, reach out to me for one-on-ones for actual details on the specifics of which ones are desirable, which ones but that's it. You want desirable properties, okay? And then the second one is just volume. You got to do a lot of volume. It's a numbers game. Real estate in general. I don't even care if you're not doing my strategy. I don't care what strategy you're doing. It truly does not matter. You don't have to do rentals. Listen, you could do open houses, right? I want to give you an example here, right? So for me, let's say I post 100 properties, or 200 properties or 300 properties, right? Where I have up on any given time on Facebook Marketplace. And I'm getting 100, 200, 300 leads coming in every single fucking day because that's what it's about. You need a lot of leads coming in. Well, what about a flip side to that, right? What about if you're doing open houses? What do you want to do then? Do you want to hold one open house a weekend? Absolutely not. You're not going to get anywhere doing that. You might make, a good 50 to 100K doing one open house a weekend, but you're not going to make the big bucks. You're not going to be making $500,000, $1 million plus per year doing that. What you're going to want to do now is hold 2 open houses on Saturday, 2 open houses on Sunday, maybe throw an open house on a Wednesday or a Friday. That's 4 to 6 open houses that you're going to be holding every single week, okay? And maybe you only hold them for 2 hours, right? Because you need time to go and do your door knocking, right? So you're going to be getting creative, okay? You're going to be thinking outside the box, right? So put your open house signs up, go and door knock, go and knock on all the neighbors' doors, hand them a flyer, maybe have a coupon on the flyer saying, if you hire me to list your house, I'll give you 10 or 20% off your commission or whatever, credit you back, whatever. And then, the whole strategy is very, very easy because you could tell them, listen, it's not like door knocking where they're going to shut the door in your face because you're saying, I have an open house that I want to invite you to, and then maybe if you like the way it goes, I'm going to reach out to you later. I'm going to show you the price that it's selling for. If you had sales on your mind, selling your house on your mind, then guess what? I can help you out, right? So that is an amazing strategy to do for open houses where you can literally start making $500,000 plus per year. I talked to the expert in open houses before, and that's what they did, right? Because I didn't do it myself. So how do I know that? Because I literally went and talked to and interviewed the people that were making the same money as me doing a different strategy. And I asked them how, and that was it. And it makes sense too, if you think about it. For any strategy that you're doing, it's all volume. It's all a numbers game. That's all you're doing. You're not doing one open house. You're doing 4 to 6 per week. And then obviously, when you're not doing open houses, that's when you're doing your showings and everything. And another example too, I'll just another one for, let's say a FSBO, for sale by owner, right? Maybe you're making 20 calls a day doing FSBOs, right? Well, guess what? If you're only making $50,000 a year doing 20 calls, what do you need to do? Do 50 calls, do 100 calls, do 500 calls, do 1,000 calls a day, right? I don't know if you can do that many, get creative, get RedX, right? RedX is an automatic dialer to increase your efficiency and your productivity, right? So it's all about the amount of leads that you have coming in, the amount of people that you're talking to every day. Strategy niche does not matter. It truly does not matter. Now listen, there are niches in certain markets that are going to work better than other markets. Like right now, expired listings are probably amazing to go for right now. Why would expireds be good right now? Sellers can't sell their homes right now for the price that they want. They're still stuck in June of 2022 at the absolute peak of the market. They think that they can get these insane prices for their houses. So they're listing them. They're not getting the offers they want. They expire, they get canceled, they get taken off the market. And they're sitting there wondering why, because the agent that they're working with has no fucking clue what they're doing. because most agents, believe it or not, have no fucking idea what they're doing. It's so easy to get a license, okay? 90% of agents end up dropping out. Why do you think that is? Because they have no clue what they're doing. And these sellers over there, for expires, as an example, they get stuck with these shitty agents. Maybe it's a family friend or they just happen to find them and they can't sell their house. So right now in this market, you got to think, what's going to be the best way for me to lead gen? What's the best niche right now? There are a few of them. There are a lot of them. And then you just try them out and see what you like. Maybe I loved doing rentals. I tried a bunch in the beginning, and rentals, I fucking love them. So, and I was spending, eventually I was spending 12 to 16 hours a day doing them. So I had to love what I was doing, right? So you got to find the ones that work well. Expires as a perfect example right now because they can't sell their homes. So you can call them and say, hey, I have a better strategy. Did you do the open house strategy where, guys, I don't know about you, but every single one of my listings that I have gotten, I've gotten multiple offers within days of that listing being live. Okay. And I've always sold it for over asking price, right? Because I have a strategy. I came up with a strategy for my listings, right? Does anybody want to hear my strategy right now for open houses? I don't know if I'm just rambling on right now. Does anybody want to hear my open house strategy?
Yes.
Would that be helpful for people? Yep. Yes. Okay. Yep. Listen to this, guys. Not even exaggerating. Literally, I will get multiple offers over asking price. Okay. This is an amazing tip for anybody who has a listing. I highly suggest everybody does this. So I'm going to take my I'm going to take my listing and I'm going to put it up on Tuesday or Wednesday of the week. Okay. Specifically Tuesday or Wednesday. Don't mess that up. You don't want it too far away to your open house that you're going to hold on Saturday. Okay. I hold the open house on Saturday about timing doesn't matter. 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., whatever you want to do. This is just for listings, right? And then you don't allow any showings prior to an open house. In all the remarks, the showing time and all that stuff, you say, do not come, to my property. Don't schedule any showings until the open house. Everybody come to my open house on Saturday in like 3 days, 4 days from now, whenever you post it. And then all of a sudden, you're literally going to get multiple people that are showing up at the same time to this open house. Not even exaggerating here. Not if you get a crazy like cash offer or something like that, you can do private, showings before the open house, but mainly that's for very circumstantial situations. And you have 30, 40, 50 people. Every one of my open houses, not even exaggerating, 30 to 50 people are showing up to my open house. And guess what? They're all seeing each other there. They're seeing crowds of people there. Sometimes I have a line out the door just to get into my open house, right? And here's the trick. This is why I have a line out the door. I did not allow any showings prior. So I'm building that anticipation. They can only come. I give them enough notice, right? Because Wednesday to Saturday, that's 4 days, right? Or Tuesday, 5 days, whatever it is. So I give them that time to schedule, build it into your schedule. And then the other one, this is the best part. I take the property and put it under market price. That's the number one key to doing the strategy. You literally listen. So sellers, they get a little nervous when you tell them this, right? Let's use an example of a $500,000 listing, right? You take a $500,000 listing and you put it up there for $460,000, $470,000, $480,000, $20,000 to $40,000 under market price. Well, guess what? Every single person and their mother are going to show up to this open house because they're going to be like, oh my fucking God, this is an amazing price for this house. And guess what? It hasn't been sitting on the market for a long time, right? So they're not going to get that stigma in their head like there's something wrong with the property. They might say, oh, the seller doesn't know what they're doing. The listing agent doesn't know what they're doing. They're selling a cheap property, that's amazing. And guess what? You're gonna get a flood of people at this open house. They're all going to see each other there, okay? So afterwards, the offers are going to start flooding in. Why? Because you priced it under market price, okay? And as long as there's nothing like wrong with the house, obviously, you're going to get multiple offers coming in. And at this point, you can now tell them, hey guys, we have a ton of offers right now. I don't know, different states have different laws about what you could say about that to the listing agents, but you could tell them you have multiple offers. I need everybody's highest and best offers by, Monday at 5 o'clock, whatever you want to say, right? Because we did the open house on Saturday, right? And then they believe you, okay? They believe you. The buyers, they believe you. The listing agents, they believe you because why? Because they saw 20, 30, 40, 50 people at that open house. So they believe that you got multiple offers and they will then give you highest and best. And that's how I've gotten every single one of my listings sold immediately for way over asking price. typically it's higher than the sellers want. You know, if the sellers wanted 500K and I put it up for, let's just say 480, right? 20,000 under, I'll get like a 510 or a 515 or a 520. Like last year, you know, I was getting way over that. This year, right now, I'm just getting kind of like what they initially wanted, but that's fine because they can't, you know, if you put the house up for what they wanted in the beginning, they probably wouldn't have gotten that much activity. It might have sat in the market for like 30 days, 60 days, right? But if you do this strategy, you'll get the price that you want. So the only problem with this strategy is you have to convince the seller to allow you to do this, right? How do you do that, right? A lot of my sellers that I talk to, their first, what do you think their first thing is? Oh my God, I don't want to sell my house for $40,000 under the market price. I don't want to do, and you tell them it doesn't matter. You don't have to accept any offer that you're not comfortable accepting. We could always raise the price later on. We could always take it back off the market, you know, if it doesn't work. Literally, this has never not worked. 100% success rate, about 100% success rate doing this. So I tell them this, and I have that confidence. You hear how I'm talking right now? This is the confidence that I have when I'm talking to these sellers, okay? And they believe me. They immediately believe me because the conviction in my voice. And I have the stats to prove it on the MLS and everything. I can look it all up, right? So this way, they get the price they want, and I get my big commission, and I get rid of the listing very fast. So that's my open house strategy, or sorry, that's my listing strategy, which I incorporate with open houses. And then you could also get leads, you know, obviously a ton of leads from that too, door knocking and at the open house as well. But that's my listing strategy. So sorry, I'm very passionate about that listing strategy. So hopefully everybody uses that. Okay, I'm going to go back into questions really fast. Do I need to do any course? Do I need to do any course to work with tenants? Course, like a certification or something like that. No, there's no like certification or anything like that. Like you can work with tenants, you know, as buyers, sellers, tenants, whatever, just with your regular real estate license. If you mean a course for me, yes, I do a specific course to work with tenants. So, you know, reach out to me about that. Ryan asked, rentals is so easy with the strategy because it is inbound leads. Ryan, amazing point right there, Ryan. So guys, listen, if you're doing FSBOs, right, and you're calling these people up, I mean, you're a telemarketer. You are. That's what you're doing. You're cold calling them where they have not reached out to you first. That's why I personally loved, and some people like that. Some people like doing that. Don't get me wrong. You know, some people enjoy the thrill of calling a cold call and converting them. You know, it's fun for some people. My strategy with the rentals, no, it's not that at all. They're reaching out to me. They're going to hit me up on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. You know, if you stick your number in there, they might call you or text you or something like that. They're going to reach out to me. They need my help. You're going to become the commodity, okay? They want your help. And at a certain point, you can start turning people down. Like, I don't do it because of qualifications. I do it because of attitude. If I get a person that reaches out to me that has a shit attitude, I know they're going to be extremely difficult to work with, you know, going to waste my time. I might say, sorry, I'm not going to help you. Not because of qualifications, because of their attitude and personality. I might do that because now I have hundreds of people reaching out to me today or every day. I want to work with the people that want to work with me, that are going to give me an easy time doing it. You know, not qualification wise, I mean, attitude wise. Because trust me, if you get a client, a tenant that you're working with that is giving you a hard time on everything, it honestly might not be worth it. You know, it really might not be worth it. And go focus on somebody else that's not giving you a hard time, right? I would rather help somebody with 3 felonies, a 500 credit than some, you know, Long Island lady that's just nasty and bitchy and rude to me. I would rather help somebody with an eviction. I swear to God, I would, because I don't want to put up with them, right? It's not worth it to me. So yes, inbound leads are amazing because it's essentially a warm lead. They know you. So when you reach back out to them, they already trust you because they reached out to you first. You know, they don't have their guard up right away. Obviously, like if you're doing a cold call, like what the hell is this guy calling me for right now? I didn't call him. They called you. They messaged you. They reached out to you. So yes, this strategy works really well if you guys hate doing cold calls or like door knocking or anything like that, because they're reaching out to you. Okay. So Leonie says she prefers rentals. I know. It's they're easy to work with. And guys, rentals too, which is an amazing part. Renters turn into buyers. Okay. This is something I have not touched on yet. Oh my freaking God. I've gotten all of my purchases off of my renters. I do zero marketing for purchases whatsoever. Aside from my CRM, you know, my weekly email, I blast out to all my database, which, you know, is not like specific buyer lead generation. I don't do any advertising whatsoever, and I get all my I get all my buyers from my renters. Meaning, if a renter wants to buy a house midway through, let's just say I convince them to, that's an advanced strategy you can do. You can actually midway through, or maybe even in the very beginning, your renters eventually will turn into buyers if you market to them every single week with a weekly email. It could be anything too on the weekly email. So does anybody not do a weekly email to people, in your database right now? Because if you're not doing a weekly email to people in your database, you want to stay top of mind. I can go on and on about doing this, and it could be anything too. It could be top 10 restaurants in your area, top 10 travel destinations in your area, like anything at all. Get creative with it, have fun emails, you know what I mean? Like, don't sell them anything. Don't sell them anything. You're just essentially keeping yourself on their mind, because a lot of renters, a lot of even buyers or sellers, they won't work with you if they don't remember you. If you're not sending them a weekly something or a monthly something, or a phone call every like 3 months, whatever it is, they might move on to a different agent that they meet later on. So that's very important. And your renters, yes, they will turn into buyers midway through. That's what I was talking about before. Literally, I don't do any marketing whatsoever. And I got 10 purchases this year just from convincing people that wanted to rent to buy instead of renting. And my renters now turning into buyers, because I'm at the point now where I've been doing this 3.5, 4 years now. And all of my renters are starting to get to that point where they're like, all right, because like year one, maybe year two, 1, 2, 3 years later, after they've rented, now it's time for them to buy a house. And guess who they're going to use? They're going to use me, because I stayed in contact with them. I reached out to them. I followed up with them and everything. I got them in the rental because they trust me now. So you will literally start getting buyers from your renters. And this is an amazing, amazing trick that I use. Guys, everybody has to do this. Take a magnetized business card and throw it up on their refrigerator. Okay. Every single deal that you do, I don't even care if it's to buy, whatever it is, any deal that even to sell, honestly, whatever it is that you do, take your magnetized business card. It really works well for rentals. Put it up on their refrigerator. Holy shit. Eileen Goby. I still remember my parents' realtor when I was like 10 years old. I remember her name, Eileen Goby, right? How the hell do I remember her name? She took a magnetized business card and put it up on my refrigerator. And every single time I went in the fridge, she was right freaking there. So that, in my opinion, that's the best marketing you can do to stay in touch with your renters, or your buyers or sellers, whatever it is. Because you can put them up on anybody's refrigerator. That's the best marketing you can possibly do. Okay. So what does your ad say on Facebook? So your ad on Facebook is basically going to be a direct copy of the listing on your MLS, right? So let's say you have a listing on the MLS that is going to be, a 3-bed, 2-bath for $4,000, and it's going to have a description there. You got to get permission from the listing agent, right? You make sure you get permission from the listing agent if you need it. Listen, every county, every MLS might be a little bit different, but we need permission where I am now. So as long as you have permission, you can literally take their pictures, you can take their description, you can take all the info from the MLS and literally just put it on Facebook Marketplace. Copy it, whatever you want, word for, as long as you get permission, right? You got to get permission first. As long as you have permission, just put their listing from their MLS. Because listen, at the end of the day, they don't want to do this. Like the listing agents themselves don't want to go and put their rental up. They don't care. 99% of agents don't give a shit about a rental. They think it's a waste of their time. They don't think they're gonna make enough money. They want to go for the big bucks, the $10,000, $20,000 commissions. They think it's a waste of their time. So they're not doing any extra marketing. And Facebook Marketplace is extra marketing. They don't want to sit there for 15, 20 minutes. They don't want to field leads. They don't even want the leads. They don't want the leads. So they don't want to put it up there. So if you get permission from them, you do that instead, right? You do the things that they don't want to do. That's how you succeed in life, right? You're doing the things that other people will not do. That's how I got so far so fast. I did things that people did not want to do. Trust me, it works, okay? Heather said a lot of rentals in our market choose not to work with tenants, but when the tenants learn they can get represented by an agent to get into a property for free, they are impressed. I'm working with renters that want to buy in 1 to 2 years. Yes. A lot of tenants don't even know you can literally have a free real estate agent because in the majority of states, and I know this might be changing soon, that whole lawsuit that we have going on right now. I mean, we might be in for a big change which will actually open up rentals to more places, believe it or not, if this actually does happen. But regardless of that, your services are free to them for the most part, right? Because the listing agent typically pays, or the landlord, listing agent, they pay the commission to the buyer's agent, tenant's agent, right? So instead of them paying you, it's free. So why not use your help? As long as you're like the professional, the expert, like you're the one that they're going to go to, for area advice, for like, I have people ask me, oh, is there a Publix or a Whole Foods in the area? Like, they're asking you these questions where they might not know the answers to. So why not work with you? So just provide value to them, and then they don't have to pay you anything except for the transaction fee, which I typically don't even mention in the beginning. I don't want to scare them off or anything like that, right? I kind of just let them find out later down the road when I put it on the contract, right? I put it in the contract. It's in black and white. It's right there. And then they see it. And sometimes they say, oh, what's this extra $300 transaction fee, right? Because that's the only thing they're going to be paying you, if you charge a fee. You don't have to, you don't have to charge a fee. It's the only thing they're going to be seeing. So you just explain to them at that point, and they're invested, right? They're invested. They've just spent, maybe a couple of weeks with you. You've showed them properties and stuff. They don't at the end of the day, they're not going to care about that. They're paying you $300, right? Let's say it's $3,000 to move into a property, right? For the rent. 3,000 times 3 is $9,000. Okay. Do you think they care about $9,000 compared to $9,300? They don't care about that. What's an extra $300? What's that, 3%? You know what I mean? It's nothing. It's nothing to them. So I just don't like to scare them away with the transaction fee up front. I kind of tell them about that a little bit later. But it's free. It's free. And that's why people like working with you. Eric asked, how do I schedule a time to talk with you tomorrow? Eric, just text me. I'm going to drop my number one more time in the chat. 203-751-3715. Just text me, Eric, tomorrow or later. Heather, convert renters to buyers. Yeah. I mean, listen, guys, you can convert renters to buyers as you're actually doing your deals with them. I kind of touched on this already, but a good tactic to convert them is saying something like this, right? You're going to need first, last, and secured. I think this is what Heather's, wants to say is, how do you convert renters into buyers while you're working with them? You tell them it's $3,000 a month. It's $9,000 to get into a rental, right? There are programs out there. I know, like the first time home buyers program, there's like Hometown Hero. I mean, there's that just kind of went away. But there's other programs out there where they can get in for relatively cheap, right? They don't have to spend $30,000 to buy a house anymore, right? A lot of these are 3.5%. So you can tell them, hey guys, you only need 3.5%. We can work on closing costs, blah, blah, blah. You might only need, an extra $10,000 to buy a house if they don't qualify for any additional programs, right? So you can tell them, listen, maybe instead of $10,000 to move into a rental, you can come up with $20,000, just an extra $10,000, and then you could buy a home if they don't qualify for any of these programs, right? If they do qualify for the program, they can literally spend the exact same amount of money as a rental. So you just have to make sure you don't want to set their expectations too low to disappoint them if they can't qualify for one of these programs that are going to assist them. But yeah, regardless, $20,000 realistically is kind of all you need. And that's what I like telling people. You really only need about $20,000 minimum to buy a home, right? Depending on the price of the home, of course. So that's kind of what I tell my renters is you don't need that much extra money to buy compared to rent. And then I go through the whole entire spiel of like, this is how much money you're going to save. You know what I mean? Like if you want to buy a home now, it's going to appreciate in value 3 to 5% typically on average every single year. So you're going to be, it's an investment, instead of just pissing away all of your money to a rental, then why not buy your own home? So I say a lot of these, there's more stuff I tell them as well to convert them. And sometimes it works. Sometimes you're like, you know what? I didn't know I only needed $20,000. I thought I needed $100,000 to buy a house. A lot of people have no clue whatsoever how to buy a home. So if you just explain to them the home buying process and how much little they actually need, and then the incentives of, oh my God, my house is going to be an investment now. It's going to appreciate in value. And in some cases, it's less money every single month than the rent. It's a no-brainer. As long as they have the cash and they got the credit, might as well buy a house instead. So that's what I'm working on a lot right now. Because listen, right now, I personally think the market is going to crash. I personally feel that way. I think we're going for some hard times right now. I don't think that we can have high interest rates, low inventory, and high house prices. I don't think that can sustain itself personally. Now, yes, I've only been in real estate for 3.5 years. I talked to a lot of veterans that have been in here 20 years. I just talked to Tina Valiant, doing this 22 years, and she has the same opinion that the market's going to crash. So what does that mean, right? What does that mean if we think the market's going to crash over the next 1 to 3 years, right? That means that right now is obviously a renter's market because a lot of people don't want to be buying right now if they think the market's going to be crashing soon. So a lot of people are going to be renting. So start working with these renters right now. So this way, when the market does crash, you're positioned to be the one they go to buy the house. Okay. So start working with the renters right now. And listen, guys, at the end of the day as well, it's always a fucking renter's market, no matter what. I've just been doing this since COVID hit, right? The pandemic. I've been doing this entire time through in the beginning, it was a buyer's market, you know, because I got in December 2019 is when I started. It was a buyer's market then. Then I switched over to the COVID, you know, this crazy seller's market. Then I switched over to like a nomad market, which we're kind of in right now, like a neutral market right now. I've done it all. I've done every single one. And rentals have always been there no matter what. I always like to think of rentals as like a streamline, like right in the middle, right? It's never going to really dip below a certain amount of money that you're going to make every single month, right? I don't think I've made less than 50 grand in years. You know, once I got my strategy and systems like really perfected, I'm making the same amount of money every single month, no matter what, you know, it doesn't matter. Sometimes though, it's going to be a little bit stronger of a rental market, but it's never going to go down past this center line. It's never going to go down because everybody always needs a place to rent, no matter what the market does. So it's kind of like it's recession proof, you know, it's inflation proof. It doesn't matter. So that's why I love rentals so much, and I think it's insane that every agent does not do them. I think it's absolutely insane that every agent does not do it. But yeah, so I'm rambling a little bit. So it's that's 100% true. You know, converting your renters into buyers. You know, you can do that with your tactics that I had just mentioned before. Okay. Do I have any other questions? I'll be going for like an hour and a half right now. I'm going to start wrapping this up. Does anybody else? I know Eric had a couple extra questions, but does anybody else have any other questions at all? That has any questions before I wrap this up? Anything in the chat? Anything on the people on the stage right now? No. Okay. So Eric, it's all you.
Well, I mean, I think we can go over it tomorrow, but I guess my question is, okay, so you put the ad on Facebook and the person responds, is this available? And 9 out of 10 times it's an older ad and then it's not available. And it seems like, well, one, if it is available, I think my biggest problem is that I'm trying to overqualify them immediately and I'm scaring them off. Or two, it's not available, and then they're just like, they just disappear the second you tell them it's not available. So
yes. So I do have a strategy for that, which we will go over, you know, when we set up our one-on-one. So, but for the most part, you know, obviously you're not allowed to post any property that's not available. So if the property is unavailable, you cannot post that. That's, you know, you'll get fined for that. So definitely only post.
So you take all your old ones down, you keep up
exactly.
with
You have to. Yeah. And I have a good method. I have a very good system where it's like 5 minutes done through the day, you know, literally keep everything done within 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes sometimes, to take the old ones down. So I have a very good strategy for that. But yeah, even if it's unavailable, let's just say hypothetically you go on vacation for 2 weeks, right? Which is a big no-no. You know, if you don't have your phone on you, you can still go on vacation, but still be working if you want to succeed at a high level. You can tell them like, listen, guys, it's unavailable now. We're very sorry. I didn't get back to you for a week or 2 weeks. And who knows, maybe they're still looking. Obviously, the faster you get back to them, the better, but maybe they're still looking at that point. So you don't have to, and I have scripts and strategies and stuff like that where I can go in depth, you know, exactly what to say to them so you don't lose them, because the wording is very important. What you say to people is extremely important. The tone you use, if you're talking on the phone, even just like the tonality in your text messaging, like the order of your words that you put in there, believe it or not, plays a massive difference. I've tried so many different scripts and strategies. Like, to me, it's not even like a script, you know what I mean? Because like it's just me trying out different wordings to people. You know, I don't love the word like scripts because it sounds too robotic. You know what I mean? Because like you're gonna have to like free flow all of this stuff. But in the beginning, you know, obviously you're saying certain words to people, and if it's not working, you change it up and you try something that is working. How do you know it's not working? Dollars. It's the money. Okay. How much money are you making? Okay. How many deals are you closing? That's how you know if things are working or not, by how much cash is actually coming in to your bank account compared to how much time that you're spending on it. If you're working 12 hours a day on something and you're making 50 grand a year, do you think that's working? Fuck no. That's not working. That's not working. If you're spending 12 hours a day on any one thing, right, and you're doing everything you need to be doing, it's not working. change it up, right? Do a different strategy, try something new, right? Well, that's like the definition of insanity, is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. You know what I mean? So yeah, if your scripts are not working, you have to change them. Now, fortunately, I've done this for years and I know what works and what doesn't work. So that's why it's an advantage of coming to somebody, you know, like a mentor like me, to teach you what does and doesn't work, which will save you months, you know, potentially years of time. And listen, everybody doesn't learn at the same rate, right? What could take me a month to learn could take somebody else a year to learn, right? So that's a really important thing too, is trying different things. Okay. That if something's not working. So, and then Instagram, I'm at the Andy Coleman. If you want one-on-one coaching, you can email me though at andy.coleman1186@gmail.com. If you want one-on-one coaching. But yeah, guys, for everybody on YouTube, like and subscribe to my channel and drop a comment below if you want me to do more videos just like this. Everybody that came to live Q&A, thank you so much for attending today. I had a blast doing it. I'm going to hold more of these because everybody seemed to love them. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys. See everybody later. Bye.